right, you can totally tell.
No, we
Okay.
don't hear.
We are live.
Hello, welcome everyone to another edition of Spooked Coast to Coast. We have Jen and Mondo from 𝗍𝗶𝗽𝗀𝗃paranormal, and we have Joy from JJ.Paranormal. This is a Father's Day edition of Spooked Coast to Coast. So
Yes,
happy
I'm
Father's
sorry.
Day
Happy
to
Father's Day.
everybody out there alive or that have passed away. You know, your fathers mean a lot to everybody. And you know what? A special shout out to mothers too, man, because there's a lot of mothers out there that are doing the father and mother role. So much love to you guys as well.
Yes. Sorry, Mondo. I went on with you backstage for like 5 minutes and didn't even wish you a happy Father's Day. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. I've gotten it all day. I appreciate everybody that has reached out to me. Like, thank you all. I appreciate the love, man. Thank you. And I appreciate this lady right here making the day special for me. Look, she got me a
Oh, look at the shirt I made.
best dad ever shirt. So this is my trophy right here, guys.
All right.
All right, so Babe, so we have a special guest.
Yes. So we have everybody online might recognize him as Exploring with Phill. So Philip Anderson, he is a YouTuber from Massachusetts. I love saying that word. I don't know why. And he explores a lot of the Bridgewater Triangle area, all the areas of King Philip's War, and he also is big into cryptids, Dogman, Bigfoot, I think, and 𝗶𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃 swamp. But there is a little cryptid that people might not know about. They're called Pukwudgies, so we're gonna have him explain that. And he's into wrestling. He also does he co-hosts, I forget the guy's name right now. He will tell me, 𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗀𝗃 Discussions podcasts. Even though today he's on a break from that, but he does do that also. Let's bring on Philip.
Hey guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is a long time coming. I can't wait. We have a lot to talk about. It should be an incredible time.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Super excited to have you on.
And happy Father's Day if you're a dad, Phil.
No, but I did come from a dad, so there you go.
Well, happy Father's Day, Dad, right? He counts.
Yeah. So
that's how it works.
Yeah.
So Phil, I tend to do the icebreaker question with everybody, and I'll kind of do some research with my guests to see what kind of catches my eye. And there's a lot of videos that you did that I definitely want to touch on. But there was one that kind of hit home, being that I used to work at retail. I used to be a store manager for Foot Locker, and I used to be a department manager for Nordstrom's. So this video kind of hit home to me. You did a video on Sears. It happened to be the last Sears that is in your state. As of now, I believe you said there was 12 Sears locations left in the U.S. I think we lost the last one like a couple years back, right? Like a year.
Which one is it?
The Sears off of
the Coral Way or
Color Ridge Mall.
That was the last one?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's been like at least 2 or 3 years.
I haven't been to that mall in years.
So like, if you guys get a chance, please go to Phil's YouTube Exploring with Phill, and you'll see it. Like Amazon, it's that whole convenience thing. Buy it, you get it the next day.
Oh well, actually, Kmart. We have one of the only Kmart's in the whole damn country.
You do. That's right.
And
I remember when the video came out,
it shrunk down. Yeah,
really?
it's like
sad.
The size of this room right here. I mean, it's
I
so
believe
tiny.
it. I believe
So,
it. It was the
so
same thing with the Sears too. Same thing with the Sears. It's like that Sears that I show in the video used to be a 3-level Sears. It's down to 2 levels, and it's like it could be 1 level. There's hardly any merchandise in there. If you guys check out the video, there's hardly any merchandise in there, and the merchandise that is in there, it's like not the typical Sears merchandise you used to have back in the day. That was high quality. It's like cheaper quality. And then basically just any leftover stock that they had back in the day.
The Sears trip, kind of like reminiscing back in the day.
Yeah.
That Sears trip, it had everything. So like you would go and get like your bedding, You would used to get your appliances there. I used to like going there because my mom would take me to like the candy section. So it's kind of like those candy stores that
I
you
used to
see in the
love mine,
malls that you would get it kind of like by the
in the plastic
pound,
bins.
in the plastic
Yep.
bin. And my grandpa and my uncles and father used to go to Sears religiously for tools and things like that. So that was like your go-to spot.
Yep.
And now it's the shell of itself. Like Jenny was mentioning, the Kmart, now it's relegated to being where the garden center used to be.
Wow.
So where the garden center is, that's the whole Kmart store now.
Yeah.
There's like a home furniture store that bought the actual Kmart location. So they were relegated to being just in that corner. But the not icebreaker question, but kind of like a tidbit, if you will. So you were mentioning
Mela says she stole a lot of shit from Kmart when she was a delinquent. Shame on you.
It's been long enough. It's all right.
Pretty sure they're not gonna get you.
That's
Yeah.
my little sister there, Mela, and bro Steven. Shout out to Steven for Father's Day.
They're driving back.
That's funny.
So did you know, Phil? You were mentioning to your better half all the things that you used to get at Sears, but did you know that you can also purchase a home through the Sears catalog?
Yeah, I did know that. It's back in the day. Yeah, that is one of the coolest. There's still Sears homes that are built now that were built from a catalog. Yeah. So they give you the blueprints and stuff. And back in the day, you could even order the lumber and stuff through them. So you could get the whole thing. And then as long as you knew how to build and do that kind of stuff, you could build the whole thing, which is remarkable. Isn't that crazy?
I've never.
Sears was unbelievable as far as
like
like
a
a juggernaut.
house, like a modular type house.
No, a real home, like
Wow.
a real the wooden frame home, and some of them are really, really nice. As far as the ones that still exist today, they were like really well built homes and stuff like that. But yeah, Sears was a juggernaut. I used to go to Sears for back to school. You know, like you to get your back to school clothing, your nicer clothes, kind of where your Sears is where you went for your like a little bit nicer things. You know.
This house right here is in Old Davie, and that is a Sears catalog home.
What?
Look at it. Yeah. That's beautiful.
From 1914.
That's a location that we investigate frequently down here in South Florida.
Yeah.
And that is a Sears purchase home.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's so cool.
What it was, just a quick history on that one. That property was owned by the major orange groves growers here in South Florida, in Davie, Florida, and they purchased that home because the business was booming pretty much, and that's how they ended up with the Sears catalog home. Yeah,
that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool, and that's going to be such a cool thing to like be like, yeah, you know, my home's a Sears home.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, right. That's so wild. That's wild. That's cool though.
Jenny was mentioning that she liked that you got the bag. It's kind of like a little keepsake thing, man.
Yes, I had to buy something. I still have the shirt too. I wear it every now and again. So yeah.
At least you didn't take nothing like Mela. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, like there was not a lot of workers there, so
you get a bag of yourself and just walk out with it.
Yeah, you probably definitely could. They're not really paying attention.
For real.
Well, yeah, Mela, you're 1,000% correct. If those homes can survive all the hurricanes from down here, you know they're good.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
She did have a question. It was, where was it? Let me pull it up again. She wanted to know how was the J. Lorraine Ghost Town.
Oh, awesome.
Ooh.
Awesome.
I saw that video. That was good.
Yeah, dude, very strange. Just a very odd place because history-wise, not really a lot of history. The only history there is allegedly some of the wood might have been from an actual ghost town or from an old home or something like disused wood that he had found. So maybe it's the disused wood, kind of. I don't know, but I don't know what's haunting that land. But clearly, there's something there. The doll thing was creepy at the end of the video. If those people haven't seen it, there's at the end, kind of walking through one of the the little fake houses that they have, and there's like a doll sitting in the chair, and I can't remember the exact word bank we got. There's something like looking or watching. That's what it was, watching. And I'm like, oh, I know who's watching. It's this doll right here that's watching. And then I think we get an EVP right after that says something like "We're all dead" or "dead," something like that. We're all dead, something, whatever, something to that effect though. But yeah, great place. Like I said, oddly haunted. Especially it's very strange to have a place that doesn't have a lot of history to be haunted, but who knows? A lot to uncover there, that's for sure.
I'm going to your link tree, going to your channel. Hold on.
Thank you, Dantex. Dantex is putting down the links in the comments, and you can actually click on them.
Okay.
So you frequent a location called the Bridgewater Triangle. Let's start there. So for the folks who are not familiar with that name or that area, can you explain what that is?
Sure, yeah. The Bridgewater Triangle is a 200 square mile area, triangulation area. The top of the triangle is Abington. The bottom right is Freetown, and the bottom left is Rehoboth. Those are the towns that make up the triangle if you draw it on a map. There's a lot more towns in the triangle. Obviously, the Bridgewaters is 3 Bridgewaters, west, east, and regular Bridgewater, and then many other towns, obviously, as well. Now, it's one of the areas that's considered a paranormal hotspot in southeastern Massachusetts is where this is located, for anyone that doesn't know those towns in Massachusetts. It's southeastern Massachusetts, below Boston, almost to Cape Cod, for those looking on a map, if you're not really sure where it is. So it's just an area where there's a high concentration of high strangeness, paranormal activity, whether that's ghostly stuff, just strange disappearances, animals of unusual size, of course, UFO, Bigfoot, the Pukwudgies. Honestly, pretty much you name it, there's probably an account of it happening in the Bridgewater Triangle. There's a few things that are specific to the Bridgewater Triangle. Now your Pukwudgies, I would say, are specific to the Bridgewater Triangle, but are known in the Bridgewater Triangle because I think and believe that Pukwudgies are throughout the United States, not just in Massachusetts, but they're kind of like throughout. That's just, if we get into that, I can get into why I believe that. And so that's kind of like one of the things that's specific. And there's a bunch of other things that are kind of specific as far as animals of unusual size and just kind of like high strangeness. And obviously there's a lot of the darker side of things, which would be the cultish activity, animal sacrifices, satanic activity, stuff like that. So that's kind of like the myriad. And not only that, there's also legends as well. Legends, myths. You have the history that goes into a King Philip's War, like Jen had mentioned. Not only that, obviously American Revolutionary History War and the history that took place before English people came here, which is well over 10,000 years. What I find most interesting about the Bridgewater Triangle as far as claims and why it's haunted and stuff, because a lot of people will point to King Philip's War specifically and be like, oh, this is the reason, this is the only reason, because of like a curse or something like that. And what I think is most fascinating is that even the Native American tribes in this area, the Wampanoags, they had these areas where had high strangeness and strange things happening even when they were there. Like the 𝗶𝗂𝗪𝗃 Swamp, for example. The word 𝗶𝗂𝗪𝗃 means in Wampanoag, place where spirits dwell. This is a hot spot in the Bridgewater Triangle. This is a place where they were very familiar with. It was a place that they revered, but also knew that evil had dwelt there as well. And so they were like fearful of it, but respected it as well. So even back before English people got here, there was weird stuff happening in that swamp. And I think there's still weird stuff happening. And then obviously the history, I think, just adds on to it. As history happens, bad things happen. It adds on to the paranormal claims and more things. But I think it's just a place that's always been that way. And then the more things happen, the more claims happen. Obviously, the darker the history happens along the way, there's more activity that's going to be kicked up because of those bad things. So that's kind of like Bridgewater Triangle in like a quick nutshell. I can get into like specifics as far as claims, other hotspots, whatever you guys want me to take it, really.
You mentioned Pukwudgies. So
Yep.
I never heard of that until I think it was from you, because it wasn't even Tony from oh my god, Confessionals, yes. Which I've been listening to him for years. So what is a Pukwudgie?
So a Pukwudgie is a small troll-like creature, completely covered in hair, 2 to 3 foot tall, can reappear and disappear at will. Known to be tricksters, can either lead you to your doom or save you which is a very strange aspect to them, I think, because it's like that's very like two opposite things. You wouldn't think that'd be the case, but not only that, they're known. People are believe them to be also swamp lights, which is a very specific thing to the 𝗚𝗂𝗪𝗃 swamp. Now, balls of energy are not like uncommon as far as other claims, but specifically to the 𝗚𝗂𝗪𝗃 swamp lights is what they call them. A lot of people believe Pukwudgies are swamp lights, and so I've seen swamp lights with my own eyes before, and it's a very, very strange phenomenon. So basically, what it is it's just this like light or like a ball of light down the pathway, and it was like it was one of those things where if you squint, you can be like, okay, I can see that, and it'd be like changing from blue and white and yellow, green, red, all these different colors, kind of changing color. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I can get close to this thing. I can get close to this thing. And I literally went running after this thing and couldn't get closer to it. And that's what people think Pukwudgie. That's why people think they're like kind of Pukwudgies, because they're kind of like leading you further and further, either away from danger or towards danger, depending on how they feel about you, or how you treat them, perhaps. I'm not sure exactly what the reasoning would be. Other than that, in Wampanoag, as far as Wampanoag history and lore, they were once good, and then they like turned evil. And at least according to their like legend and history, what ends up happening is a giant is very revered and loved. His name was 𝗏𝗃𝗃 by the Wampanoags, and so they loved him. They loved him so much that the Pukwudgies became jealous of the love for the giants over them. They're like, no, you should love us more. And so it says that they turned or changed and became evil. They kill 𝗏𝗃𝗃's 5 sons. Some renditions say they kill 𝗏𝗃𝗃 himself. Other renditions say that he gathers up the Pukwudgies and like banishes them throughout the world or the continent, wherever, something to that effect. So very, very interesting as far as like the claims of these things. Now, I've never personally seen a Pukwudgie with my own eyes, never caught one on camera. I've caught many EVPs that say they're Pukwudgies. One particular one I'll tell you just because it's kind of a strange one. In the 𝗚𝗂𝗪𝗃 swamp, walking down the pathway, I look over to my right-hand side and I say jokingly, just as a joke, hello, Pukwudgies, where are you, my friends? And without skipping a beat, I get an EVP that says, here. And then a little bit further on, it says, help you. I think it says help you, but it definitely says help, though you is kind of a little bit lower. But then it says help after that. Very, very interesting. I could go on more about Pukwudgies because I got a lot more, but that's like the basic of what like a Pukwudgie is and, what they look like and that kind of thing.
I never heard of a Pukwudgie until Kevin.
See?
Kevin told me when we were on the
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is a Pukwudgie?
that is a
We don't got that in LA. I don't know.
much less in Miami.
Oh, look, Kevin's on the chat right now.
Kevin.
There he is.
What's
There
up,
he
my
is.
brother?
I was
Happy
just with
Father's
him
Day.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
recently. It seems like forever ago, but it was just recently. I was with him in Maine. We're up at the Florentine. I can never say the word right. Florentine Fest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And his episode is actually one that I wanted to talk to you about as well.
Oh,
So
sure.
We'll get there
Absolutely.
too.
That's a wild night.
And Kevin is our guest next week, so everybody.
Yeah,
tune
Kevin
in.
is actually our guest next
I
week.
love it. I love it.
Kevin he's gonna go to the Conjuring House, right? Tell me if that's
Yes.
still going on, Kevin.
Yes, he is.
So,
And I
I'm
don't.
excited.
Yep.
What is that? I thought Phill.
Do they give you wedgies? That joke.
That would be awful. No offense against the Pukwudgies, I don't think they could reach that high.
Do you think Pukwudgies? So would you consider that, since you said they're troll-like? What people will consider elementals as far as like gnomes and like fairies, that type of realm?
Type?
Yeah.
It's definitely a possibility. Not only that, I have gotten like while asking questions about Pukwudgies, kind of like where they came from and stuff, I started getting other things that were kind of pointing towards like literally little fairy, other types of things, and which led me because I can tell this real quick, just because it's so interesting. So as far as Pukwudgies, like I said, I wanted to dig deeper on Pukwudgies and all that stuff. And then along the way, I started getting all these Spirit Box responses, word bank responses that kept on saying things like little, fairy, we're little, we're hungry, we're thirsty, stuff like that. So I brought back food.
Wow.
They continually say, hey, we're hungry, we're thirsty, we're food. So, and then what happens with Kevin on that night, which we can get to, after that experience, I was like, I'm missing something. There's something not adding up. Like, I'm getting all these responses that don't really seem like Pukwudgies to me. Like, Little's doesn't. At first, I thought Little meant Pukwudgie, but I'm like, there's something else here. I buy this book, Spirits of Native American, legends in New England and Wampanoags and stuff, different tribes, Mohegans and stuff like that. 𝗟𝗏𝗀𝗀 essentially, but they had a whole chapter on little people. So I was like, oh, cool. Maybe I'm missing something. So I start reading it, and I literally read this one little section where it says, these little people, it's called the 𝗚𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃, which are literally essentially little teeny humans, like 10 to 11, 12 inches tall. Literally what it says in there is that the Wampanoags would leave baskets of food and drink in the woods, and then the little people would fulfill wishes for them. And so then I'm like, oh my God, here I am getting food, like water. We were thirsty, we're hungry. And I'm like, I'm getting little. I'm like, oh my God, these are these things. And like, and this little 𝗚𝗂𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃 is a thing that is like a very small like cryptid that literally a little cryptid that kind of like almost is forgotten to history, because outside of the Mohegan tribe, all the other tribes kind of lost that history and don't even have this little guy in their sort of lore and stuff like that. But when Wampanoags describe Pukwudgies, they don't describe them like a hairy 2 to 3 foot tall thing. They describe them as little people. And I'm like, so that got my mind thinking, I think because of King Philip's War, a lot of history was lost. And so I think because of that, sort of some of the legends have kind of gotten mulled together, because the word even Pukwudgie doesn't even come from Wampanoag tribe. It comes from a tribe in Maryland that a guy borrowed for another story because they didn't have a word to describe the little people in their story.
Oh wow.
So that tells me, so I think
Super
there's a little bit of super, it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, what's really going on there? So I'm under the impression, at the very least, there's Pukwudgies and there's these little people as well. At least in the Hockomock. So yeah, that was a whole huge revelation that like blew my mind. So yeah, that's one of those things I always like to mention, just because it was awesome.
Very cool.
Very awesome. Yeah.
Jesse had a question. He said, "Do you see the lights? Were they bluish?"
Sometimes, yeah, they were always changing. Blue is one of the colors. I remember specifically blue, red, white, maybe yellow.
Is that what people would consider like swamp gas?
Yes.
Is that the same?
It's sort of similar. Like that's what people would be like, oh, that's just swamp gas or something like that.
I know I don't believe that shit. Trust me, I believe because we've gone out to like places where it's like that, just like woods and everything, and you see these lights, and I'm like, I know there ain't no water there, but you know, right. I think those are some type of energy that's emitting that. I don't know.
Gotcha. What. And don't worry, Kevin. No worries. I was gonna try to join him on the Conjuring House last minute.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Dude, that would have been an epic collab day.
You know why you can't? Because I'm going. No, I'm like,
yeah. I wish.
I really do want to go there. That's a future booking. All right, we'll see.
We'll bring you Flanagans, we promise.
Do you think what you see then is fireflies? What are they called? Fireflies? The little lights? Could that be a possibility?
Oh, these were much bigger than fireflies.
Bigger than a firefly?
Yeah, this is like balls of light.
They look like,
I would say, you know, I have pictures actually like on my Instagram. You have to go really far back, but maybe I'll send it to you because I do have pictures of the swamp lights that we caught that night.
Please, I'd like to see them. Yeah.
And so because it on the camera you couldn't even pick them up, but on Eric's camera, he has like a real camera that you could take.
He said a real camera.
And, you know, like a real like a.
No,
not my phone. Yeah, you know what I mean. So he actually caught them, which is pretty cool, and they just look like like little white balls of light on camera.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
What are the cryptids? So for the Bridgewater Triangle, is it only so Pukwudgies? I think you might have mentioned UFOs, maybe.
Yes.
Is a thing out there?
Yeah.
Yes, many UFO sightings, Bigfoot sightings as well.
And with Kevin, I think you guys mentioned maybe Dogman. Is that
could yes. So that's another one of the claims. Yeah, we can talk. That kind of leads right into the Kevin episode if you want to talk about get into that.
Go ahead.
And that's where your S-Box picked up Bigfoot.
That was super.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
awesome.
That's that same
Awesome.
episode. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think we asked. I can't remember the question exactly.
Are
What's in
they-
these woods? I think that's what it was. Oh, is there dogmen in these woods? And I think that's. And I
Yeah.
think it said
And
Bigfoot.
it's
And
big
it
Get out of the way.
specifically
That's
said
right.
Bigfoot. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, which is such a very, very pointed answer. You know, it's like when you get Pukwudgie in the spirit box. You're like, okay, they're like, even if there's no way that's a radio. Why would there's no radio station that would ever say that?
No,
You know what I mean? Or
exactly.
even
and,
Bigfoot's
and
out of
the
this.
time, you know, as soon as question, it's the time frame that you get that answer right back. You know what I'm saying? It's,
Yeah.
go play the lottery, and that's the case. You know what I'm saying?
There's another one, and I'm gonna go a little bit off topic, but this is actually like my favorite episode that you've done. It's the one where you call the ledge in the dark woods, and
Yes.
just jumping
Freetown.
into that same thing. So your word bank says
That was so funny.
dick,
I don't know.
and you're literally looking at your left, and the tree spray painted penis. Like,
You know, I had to rewind that. When I watched that, I said no. And I
like, dude, there's
I did a double tap.
for whoever is a skeptic, like, how could it be that quick?
Not only that, how is the word bank? He hadn't even seen that yet.
Yeah,
he was
I hadn't
walking
seen
on a trail,
Yeah.
and the thing goes dick, and then he was like, "What?"
I was like,
dick?
oh,
And then
maybe
he just, like, looked
maybe
around,
someone's
and
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you were thinking. You're like, oh, somebody's name. And then
Richard here.
he pans over
Yeah.
to like the left, to the right, and then to the left, and on the tree on the left hand side is spray painted.
Spray painted
penis.
penis in black.
I was cracking up when I
I
saw
was
it.
like, oh
I was
my
like,
god.
"No." Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's a lighthearted moment in such a dark place.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, because that video alone was had some very dark elements to it for sure. I mean, I think the darkest thing that stands out to me in that video is the when I was talking about the legend on top of the rock where people feel like they want to jump off and commit suicide and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so I'm talking
Yeah.
about that and asking about that. I was like, oh, you know, I can't remember the exact question. I don't know if they asked if there was anyone here or I just mentioned the legend or something. And then I get this blood curdling scream of a
Scream.
man that said like screams help. And like, I mean,
Mhm.
like the kind of help that like if you were about to die and like someone was there to save you at the last second, you like
Yeah.
would yell to someone. That's like it was like all out, like not holding back, screaming as loud as you could. Like that was chilling, absolutely chilling. And I don't know if I actually okay. So I've done another video that hasn't come out yet. I haven't even edited the video, but I will say, kind of tying this into this legend because that's one of the legends about this place. So what I'm talking about, for those who don't know, I'm talking about the Freetown State Forest, which is a very dark place, probably the darkest place in the Bridgewater Triangle. This is the place where a lot of people find the mutilated animals, the satanic killings happen there, murders happen there, disappearances, just a lot of evil things to the point where it seems like either evil's dwelling there and drawing evil things to it, or people know that it's evil and go there to do evil things. Whatever the case may be, chicken or the egg, it's whatever it is, there's definitely evil there. No doubt about that. And so I'm up on the ledge, and this video has not come out yet. A couple guys are riding dirt bikes, which is, I mean, kind of out of the ordinary because there really isn't a lot of people there. I mean, it's one of those places in Massachusetts where you can ride legally. There's not a lot of places where you can ride legally. So you would think it would be a place where people would want to go. But just in 2000, I think it was 13 or 14, and some of the dirt bike trails, someone put barbed wire across the dirt bike trails. So that way, if you were riding, not paying attention, you know, you can get killed or seriously injured. You know, so like that kind of stuff happens often, you know, like just kind of strange thing. So I'm on top of the ledge. Like I said, this is a place where people have known to be got possessed up there. They've known to try to throw themselves off. Last time I was there, one of the first times I was there, actually, I should say, a guy was flying his drone up there, and he's like, yeah, my wife knows a guy that allegedly jumped off this rock, but he wasn't jumped, he was pushed. And that's what he told me. And this is the guy that's like, I'm not really into the paranormal. I just want to come up here and fly my drone. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. So then fast forward to this video that hasn't come out yet. These dirt bike guys come up, you know, very nice guys, just like, oh man, I've never been here. This place is incredible. This guy does not know the history of the place, clearly, because he's, you know, he is not talking like he knows anything about it, you know. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like, yeah, I don't know why anyone want to commit suicide. And I was like, why is this guy?
What?
I was like, why? Out of nowhere. I didn't tell him about like
Yeah.
people, like anything suicidal thing, like people jumping off of this, blah blah blah. I did say like, hey, someone drove the car off here. I know someone had messaged me and told me they drove a car off here and like hopped out of the car and drove the car into there kind of as a prank or as for fun as a teenager or something. So I told him that story, but I didn't say anything about like people jumping off or whatever. And then out of nowhere, he's like talking to me about like suicide and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, like this. I was like, there is something here that's wanting people to jump off or think about suicide. I was like, dude,
crazy.
how weird is that? And
Yeah.
I was like,
unprovoked. Why are you mentioning
unprovoked?
that? That's
Yes,
insane.
unprovoked. And I'm like, this guy, and this, of course, this is a normal guy. He doesn't know anything about the history, and you know, it'd be one thing if you knew the history and was kind of like already was in his mind and kind of thinking about that, but like to not know anything about it and to bring that up,
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, who knows? Like what he
Heard or
heard, not heard, but like, you know, maybe he's clairvoyant or something. He had got like that thought for some reason.
That vibe,
and
yeah,
then
right.
spit it out, you know.
Yeah, right.
So there you also mentioned, and this was something that I can kind of relate to you. You mentioned the lady in white, that you heard stories about folks seeing a lady in white, and that seems to be a myth that is in a lot of different places. So I can attest, and Steven in the chat was there, and Joe. We were the ones that saw it. Jenny was with me, Mela was there, and other friends of ours were there. But we were in a native burial ground area, and from a distance we saw a lady in white, kind of like covering from one side or the other in a kind of like a foresty area that we were in. Have you seen the lady in white or heard of more about the lady in white?
Specifically at the ledge, right? The ledge lady.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen the ledge lady. Now in that video, I do retell a story because someone had reached out to me. Someone that was kind of like trying to get into the paranormal, and they were like reaching out to me for like advice, blah blah blah. And they went to the Freetown State Forest, and they had that a situation or an encounter with the lady in white where they saw this entity on top of the rock, kind of like walking back and forth, which is kind of like one of the claims. A lot of people, I mean, it's very hard to tell because there really isn't any like history to back up the lady in white. A lot of people say a lot of things. Like one of the claims is that, is she, the lover story where, her lover died and she jumped off the ledge to commit suicide. Now, what's interesting about the ledge back in the day is it wasn't like water underneath. It was just like maybe a cliff or something. And who knows how high or how shallow the cliff was because they ended up mining it, which created the quarry. So that's why it kind of looks the way that it looks now. So it did look a little different back in the day. Because another one of the claims is that the lady in white could be possibly a Native American person, because there's claims of that Native Americans being up there and being choosing to jump off rather than surrender. So there's like a couple different stories. Now there's no real solid proof story to be like, this is the lady in white, this is who this person is. Now, obviously, when I'm up there, I have asked questions about the lady in white. I've gotten a couple responses that could be the lady in white, like a woman up there. Last time I was up there, I believe she said to me, oh, it's you, kind of like dismissive. And then, but another thing I think is interesting about that is when I've asked about lady in white and stuff, I feel like I've gotten a lot of responses up top of there, which a few of them almost sounded German to me or Swedish. I'm not exactly sure, but like European in nature is kind of like what I thought it might have been. But it's very hard to say. But yeah, the lady in white, it's interesting because is this the entity that's making people want to jump off? You know what I mean? Is this a negative entity or is this, it's very hard to tell, to be honest with you. But the experience that they had was a negative experience, like being grabbed and touched and that sort of thing. So that tells me it's probably not a good entity, my guess. And I don't know why my camera's not fuzzy.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, why is it like fuzzy? I was like,
there we go. It's a little bit better.
I'm sick, so I'm like, is it my eyes?
Yeah, right. Hold on. I'll turn on my light. I think it's my light.
Look, it looks good now.
Yeah, you're good now.
There we
Phill,
go.
and then the last thing in reference to that episode, you were saying that a plane had crashed in that area as well?
Yes.
Were you able to find out more about that?
No. So a guy had reached out to me like a year and a half ago about the plane. He's like, hey, I was looking at like a Google map and you could see it on Google Maps. So it's in the forest somewhere. He had pinpointed it to me, but I just have never gone out there. I mean, a lot of the Freetown State Forest I haven't done or haven't explored all of it, just because it is a darker place. So I don't go there that often. I mean, for example, I've been to the 𝗚𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃 70 times probably, and I've been to the Freetown State Forest probably 4 times in my 3 years. So it's just not a place I go to that often. I mean, I would love, I need to get out there more just to cover it all and kind of do all the videos and everything. But yeah, so
Cool.
So to answer the question, no, I have not gone out there, but I would love to see it though, because it's so random. It's like, how did that get there?
Exactly.
Did it crash there? Like, you know what I mean? Very, very strange. It probably did, but yeah, interesting.
That's why when you were saying cars, boats, and an airplane, I'm like, okay, I can see the boat maybe, and cars definitely, but airplane, that's insane.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Dantix wanted to know. I've never heard of a lady in red or black. I have seen a lady in black, but I've actually seen her. But to me, I have my own theory on that. I've never seen a lady in red, but he wants to know, do you think they all are the same, or do they have something in common, or the ladies in red and black? Wait, let me pull it up. Do you think all the ladies have something in common, or the ladies in red and black?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I mean, to answer that question, I don't know. I mean, I would have to probably do some more research on in a couple of different individual ones and see if there's any correlations between like the evidence you catch, you know, whether that be like even the stories too, you know, like if there's a story behind the legend, I'd be interested to see if there's correlations between the legends, and then if you do investigate them both separately and see what like correlates between them, maybe it is the same entity, maybe there's something that's causing this, you know, some sort of a same event, you know what I mean, it's causing this type of entity. You know, those are definitely good questions, and something you definitely would have to do probably more investigating on to really get like even a somewhat good answer on it. But we probably won't get a good answer on it. But
yeah, there's too many things that you can go off of, because originally I was thinking Lady in White, perhaps it's tragedy only, and the only reason why I say that is because there's known stories of a lady in white that appears in a famous hotel here in Miami. It's called the Biltmore Hotel, and how the story goes is essentially the lady's was it that the daughter fell out of the window?
I think it was a boy, but I think the
boy?
child, like, if he fell off a balcony or a window, one of those two, and then she couldn't catch him. She couldn't reach him.
She couldn't reach him so the child passed, and then she ended up committing suicide, and then it's been said that she's been known to peruse the boundaries of the hotel. So it kind of makes sense, like maybe in a tragedy aspect, but there's too many things, like
too many variables. Yeah, absolutely. But that is interesting.
Lady in White, it has a child involved, actually.
Actually, you know what? Now, funny you say that. There's a story of the Lady in White that I did in Connecticut, and that was a story with that as well. It was like a husband and a child loss and that sort of thing. So I think you might be onto something with that. As far as, I mean, if we start looking at every single Lady in White story and there's a child there and that kind of like, then you're like, okay, maybe there is something to that, you know. So it's definitely interesting.
We have a Biltmore hotel over here that's haunted, but I don't know the story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
I want to go there.
That's cool, because you get to, like, I've never met you, Phill, but it's cool that we get to talk, because then you kind of like put the pieces of the puzzle together, and maybe it can formulate into something. That's kind of cool. I like that.
Absolutely.
Kevin says he wants to go back to the swamp.
Oh, absolutely. This July, I think Kevin's coming out with me. Actually, I can announce it here. If you wanted me to break some news on your podcast, I can break some news.
Do it.
Okay, so this July, starting July 1st, I'm going to be going to the 𝗚𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃 swamp every single day. I'm going to do a live stream from there every single day, for the month, and then leading up until like a three-part investigation in 3 different areas. And I've already asked Kevin to be involved, so Kevin's definitely going to be involved, and some other people as well for sure. And since I'm on here, something I also do is Jen has asked me questions before to ask in the 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃, so I'll definitely extend that to you guys. If you guys have questions you want me to ask when I'm out there throughout the whole month, and even at the end or whatever, and since you can't be here in person, I will definitely do that, so you guys can be a part of it as well. No, I think it's such a cool idea to do that kind of stuff, where like you kind of bring more, because people have different ideas, different questions and stuff. Like Jen will ask a question I wouldn't think to ask, you know what I mean? So like it's good to have that kind of input, and it makes us all like a part of it, you know what I mean? In a way, you guys are investigating it with me because it is your question, you know. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse, he wanted to know. He loves the Pukwudgies. If you ever offered food or tobacco as gifts,
or maybe chips.
because they
Chips.
really want
It
to.
asked for chips. I brought
Maybe
food.
ask for chips.
I bought water and nuts, and they're like chips. And I'm like,
Chips.
oh, okay, chips. I would never do that as like a offering or a gift or something, just because yeah, I just wouldn't do that aspect. I would do it just to see what would happen, just kind of like what I did as an experiment, kind of like as a trigger object. Because if they are asking for food, bring food, see what happens. You know, like it could only probably lead to better evidence. At least that's what my opinion was. So, so yeah, I do that, but not for as a gift or anything. More so just for, paranormal research reasons.
Yeah.
Cool.
And reason being because, so religion wise, you're Christian, right? So
Yeah,
I can understand that. Like, you don't want it to be like I'm offering.
That's right.
This entity. Or
Yeah, right. Or be perceived that I'm doing it that way. Or like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So like, I don't have any problem with like doing it as far as to see what will happen. But like, I would never do it as like, oh, this is my gift to you. Now give me my 3 wishes like you promised me. You know what I mean? Like, I would never do that. You know what I mean? Just because that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to put any gods other for your God. You know, so I wouldn't do that. But I do it just for just to see what happens, and just because they were asking for it, so it's interesting to see what would happen. And I make that clear too when I do that to them. If they are there listening to me.
What they say about gnomes that are out there and fairies that I've heard people offer them gifts and stuff like that, and then they get really pissed if you don't continue that, I guess, and then they start retaliating on you, and people have problems in their house or whatever. So
right. And then you don't want anything in your house. It's probably just best not to do that. Because it's probably just not a good idea, because they can flip, if they don't like your offering or whatever, if they are who they say they are, if they are really these things.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's another aspect too. You know what I mean? You're like, because at the end of the day, in a spirit box or whatever, you're just taking whatever it is at the word that you're getting. You know what I mean? You never really know what you're talking to. You know what I mean? That happens a lot. Where you think you're talking to one thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, this is weird. And then it changes, and you're like, okay, all right, good to know. But yeah, I mean, not all the time, but that can happen. So you just got to be on your guard, for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's all about the research.
I wanted to ask you a question, and the folks in the chat room, you may remember this question. I asked it to Keith Weldon because there's a location that he does investigate out in California, that there's a lot of power lines there. There in that specific location, there's a lot of power lines. So I was wanting to ask you the same question I asked Keith, something that he was pondering on and didn't think of before. So I wanted to bring it up with you. Do you believe that power lines help ramp up the activity in the location where you're investigating?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they definitely use it to amp up, because anywhere near the power lines area in the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp is not the only high strangeness areas, but there definitely seems to be an increased activity around those high areas. Now, obviously, anytime you're in high EMF areas, it can make you hear things that aren't there, and make you uncomfortable and that sort of thing. So you always have to be careful, but that's what you have your recording equipment for. So, when I'm out there and I hear a noise, I can verify that I actually did hear that noise from the recording. And so I'm not just like, especially the first time you go to the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp, it's just a weird Kevin can tell you, it's a very, very strange experience. You just feel like if you're just being watched. There's like people around you. I think I described the first time I went there, I said, I don't like this at all. And so like, that was my first take on the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp, walking in there, never been there before. I was like, oh man, this place is like, you can feel the energy there. You know what I mean? And not just from the power lines, just like you can feel it. So it's definitely fueling the activity there for sure. And especially near the power lines area. No doubt about that.
So what kind of animal? Do you guys have like alligators out there?
Oh, thank God. No.
Oh, yeah, I know.
No alligators. No alligators, anything like that. We do have bears, coyotes. I did see a coy wolf, which is like a combination of a wolf and a coyote, kind of like a hybrid thing. in the 𝗚𝘂𝗃.
Oh, wow.
That's actually one of the claims in the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 is animals of unusual size.
Mm.
And not only that, just animals that aren't supposed to be there. There's been reports of rabid black dogs. I mean, just like kind of black dogs that are like hound dogs or kind of that sort of thing come out of nowhere. In the mid-70s, they ripped a couple ponies' throats apart, terrorized the whole town. They did a whole manhunt for this dog. Never found the dog. Last time they saw a cop shot at it, the dog walked off into the woods and was never seen again. So there's been like reports of strange animals like that just showing up, big birds, stuff like that, like a condor-sized bird, you know, huge monstrosity coming out of the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp and stuff like that. So even like documented stuff where early
that's
19-
my guy right there. That's my guy.
Janitor,
Triple J.
janitor.
That's my guy.
That's right. Yes, he is. And
That
then
guy's
so
from the swamp too.
yeah, definitely, he is not afraid of the swamp. But one of the reports is early on when they were putting those power lines in, there was guys doing work out there because they basically filled in the swamp so they could put the power lines through the swamp. You know, back in those days, they didn't care. They were like, oh, whatever, we'll just fill it in and put the power lines up. So they said that they were doing work near one of the streets, and one of the all these guys came running out of the area, and they were like, we're not going in there. We're not. They said there was a snake in there as big as a stovepipe. So like that big around, you know, I mean, the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp is a vast 74,000 acres. Most of it's unexplored. There's a lot of animals and things in there. So it's not a real possibility that all kinds of animals in there. In the spirit box, to kind of wrap up the animal stuff, I asked in the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp, are there any dangerous animals around? And they said panthers a few times.
Panthers, yeah, I remember
panthers,
that.
yeah. Which is another report, like cats and stuff, big cats and stuff like that. And then the last time I asked, and when I asked if there was any dangerous animals around, they said Kevin. So, which I don't care, Kevin remembers that. He was like standing right next to me. I was like, I just said Kevin.
Well, like what about snakes and like big ginormous snakes?
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, giant snakes, all that stuff. Yeah, pretty much you name it as far as big animals, and it's been seen. Actually, speaking of a kind of a weird animal to see, large beavers. People have reported to me that they've seen beavers of unusual size in the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp. And I will tell you, on the one particular area of the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp, last time we were there, all these trees were chewed up and knocked down and all that stuff from beavers. So it's not a real possibility there's a giant beaver in there somewhere.
Wow.
Which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? So you have like the natural animal side to it too, where just since it's such a vast swamp and a huge ecosystem, it's not a real possibility. There's a lot of animals in there that we don't know about.
So have you guys taken a boat? Like
I do. I have not taken a boat. I want to so bad. So the areas that I access, obviously the power lines area, there's an old railroad trail as well that kind of goes through the swamp. So that's another area that you can get access. And there's an old road that's now decommissioned that you can also. So there's like 3 access points. Okay. There's actually more than that, but those are the 3 main areas. And then there's other area where it's kind of like a wooded area that kind of leads into the swamp enough from another side. So I mean, there's like probably 8 or 9 entry points to these various areas. And like I said, but most of it is inaccessible.
Do you have a lot of videos up about it?
Oh my God. I have the out of any place I've been to the 𝗚𝘂𝗃 swamp more than any place.
Really? Okay. I want to watch. I want to go back and watch.
More than the swamp himself.
Yeah, right. At this point, the swamp, put it this way, the swamp knows me. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. I get my name there quite a bit.
Yeah, the Pukwudgies are gonna come out and be like, "Hey."
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because you do get Phill or Philip a lot. So now, I had asked you this on one of your videos. I don't know what video it was, but do you think it's referring to you? I think sometimes it's referring to you, but then sometimes I'm thinking, for some reason, I think of King Philip's War. Like, are they referring to him?
Ooh. Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
I'll tell you a funny story about that. So yeah, sometimes they do. Usually when they are referring to King Philip, usually they'll just say King Philip, usually generally speaking. If I'm talking about Philip, King Philip specifically, and if I get Philip, then I'm like, okay, I think that's what they mean. So yeah, I think sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just me. They're just talking about me. But yeah, sometimes they do. What I think is really weird about the King Philip stuff, I've never ever gotten King Philip's actual real name, which is 𝗏𝗏𝗃. Because King Philip was a name that like he took on or was given. I don't know it's very unclear whether he took that name or the Europeans gave him that name. I think it was a combination of the both. So if it's very strange not to get 𝗿𝗂𝗏𝗘, but to get King Philip, but it does happen for sure. So yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird. I will say, anyone I've ever brought to the 𝗿𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗀 Swamp, they've had their name said in the spirit box.
Oh,
For example, my cousin Patrick, he's never done ghost stuff, has not done ghost stuff since. He went there one time with me. In one video, they said Patrick like 5 times. I've never gotten Patrick since. Never got Patrick before that. It's, you know what I mean? So like there's definitely intelligent hauntings, intelligent entities there for sure that remember and know who you are. And there was something I was going to say about Phill. Okay, the King Philip stuff. So no one knows this because I've never mentioned this to anyone. My nickname as a child to one of my particular uncles was King Philip. Yes, because I was, as a young kid, I was very headstrong, and I wanted, I was the only child at the time, so I wanted things my way. So he called me. That was a nickname for me. He's, oh, there's King Philip. There he goes. He wants his own way. You know what I mean? So like that was my nickname. So, so that is kind of weird because I have gotten King Philip before, and I'm like, are they trolling me? It's like, is it because I've gotten a couple relatives' names before in the 𝗿𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗀 Swamp once, which is kind of weird, unprovoked, with a warning, which is nice. So I can tell you about that if you want.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, sure. Was that the one with your grandpa or something?
No, it was I actually didn't say exactly what the relative connection was, just because I didn't want my family to freak out or ask questions about it. So basically what it was is I'm in the 𝗿𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗀 Swamp walking down, and right before this is where I had my angel encounter. Jen will probably remember that from a while back. Same video as that. So I'm walking out, and all of a sudden it says the relative's name, but it says it as if it's from my perspective. So like, say if it was your grandmother, your aunt, uncle, whatever, it said their title and then their name after that. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So it says their title and name, and then it says be careful after that. Which I think it's very, very strange, very creepy, unprovoked. And it's like, this is a relative that's passed on a long time ago, like more than 10 years. And it's a relative that like I had a relationship with, but not like, didn't talk to this person on a daily basis or anything like that, or any sort of like close, but like we're family and stuff, but you know what I'm saying? It's just not like a close relative, like a, so it's very, very strange. So that's happened before one time. So. But I do get my name a lot. I do get like Philip, help me, stuff like that, or Philip's here. Hello, Philip, how are you? Stuff like that. Usually it's mostly good stuff, for the most part.
Yeah, I think it's so weird how you keep when you get the same word over and over and over again, and it's only at certain places that you're at.
Yeah, very, very strange. I don't know what to make of that. I think a lot of them are asking for help, so I think they just know me and they think I can help them in some way. That's the way I look at it for the most part.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Phill, I have to give you your props, man, because you are probably one of the few people that I see that gets constantly getting EVPs, like just walking, not even with a recorder in your hand, and bam, just with your camera, you're just getting them like crazy. And in the Kevin episode, there was the last 2 EVPs you weren't able to make out, but the second to last one, it says Kevin, but the last one, when you guys are walking back, you're not filming, it's just on the walk back. What I hear is, do you have your REM pod?
Really?
And I was like, what? Yeah, I had Jenny listen to it. She's like, yeah, it says it sounds just like it. And it's like you were saying, you have to like listen to it with your headphones on, because if you listen to it with your TV or whatever, you're gonna lose some of that sound quality. I had to pump it up my TV with my sound bar like super loud, but I was able to get it. Do you have your REM pod? And
at the same time, you guys were talking about in the background, like that your flashlight hadn't turned on or off.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. It turned off. Literally it turned off. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah,
so good. Yeah, Spirit was asking you, hey, do you have your REM pod? I kind of got the impression of trying to make sure you didn't leave it or something like that.
Yeah. That is super interesting. Yeah, and that's really weird. Because that wasn't even caught on camera. You're right. That was just caught on my iPad. Because I have two. I usually have 2 recordings. So. Yeah, on my iPad. Yep. So yeah, I do audio recording on the iPad with the word bank at the same time. So I'll just have that running the whole time, and that's like a secondary audio I'll use. So I've gotten EVPs just on the iPad, or like both phone and iPad, or just the phone. I mean, and most of the time they're very close to one another. So it's like, you know, how do I catch one and not the other? Dude, it's very, very strange how that works. I don't know how that works. I never will, but it's very, very weird. But that's, yeah. So I usually try to do 2 recordings at the same time. So that way, try to cover like all bases.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we do, because we have the same recorder, but I have him set up with different type of configuration. So that way I'll record, and if I get it on both recorders, I feel pretty confident in what I got. So I'm glad you do that, because that's a way to kind of like prove, okay, if I got it on both, or I got it on my camera and I got it on my SB, like, hey, I'm hitting, or I got it in the word bank. That's a lot of things that you guys don't give these apps a chance, man. Phil's been hitting on these apps. Like, there's no way to not say what you're actually getting is truthful.
Yeah, he uses a specific, I forget the name. I remember I asked you a long time ago what word bank is it that you use, because just the sound of it, like I know what Ghost Tube sounds like, or like Spirit, what's the other one? Spirit Talker. Yeah. Like I know what those sound like already, and then when I heard yours, like more like robotic. To me it sounds like funny stuff. What the hell was that? So yeah. So but you get such good responses with that.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure. And yeah, the way I look at it with the apps, don't get me wrong. When I first started using apps and stuff like this app, I was very skeptical of it, of course. But like you said, when you have what we talked about earlier with the tree and all that situation, like that kind of stuff alone. And then what happened to me in Middleborough, I think one of the first videos that Jen saw that I did, if I remember correctly, where I got the responses like "come play with me" and all that kind of stuff in the baseball field, and so like I've gotten a lot of responses that are like very poignant to what either's happening, talking about, and correlating with EVPs even. You know, I've gotten like word banks that literally say the same thing as an EVP says, like a couple seconds later. You know what I mean? So like that's happened before. So yeah, dude, the app's legit. And the way I look at apps is if the entity is strong enough, it can use anything, regardless if it's an app, if it's a tape recorder, if it's your phone, your REM pod, whatever you're using, it can mess with all that stuff. If it really is an entity there, and a strong entity there. So
I agree with that 1,000%, because that's how I feel. The more and more you use your piece of equipment, it's kind of like you build that synchronicity with your piece of equipment, and that's why I give you props too, because man, with our S box we rarely get anything, but I don't
get as good as like the SB.
SB7, that's ours that we use all the time, but I'm watching Phil's videos and I'm like, dude, how is he hitting so much with the S box and I can't?
You made me want to use the S box more, and I'm like, I'm getting there. It's getting some stuff.
Yeah. So how I use it, I don't know how you guys use it, but I put it on like speed 4 and just like as fast as possible, and then just kind of like let it play. And I found when I first started using it, I was bad at like hearing stuff in the moment, but then I just recorded it all and just kind of then I went back later and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm like, there's something there, there's a hey there, there's that there. And then like once you use it more and more, you kind of like are better at like picking it up in the moment. I mean, because even in the moment, I don't pick up every single thing. There's many times where I miss things in the moment, and then I'm like, how did I not hear that? Like, that's so clear, you know? So it's one of those things that like, don't get discouraged, because it is hard at first when you're picking up on that kind of stuff. Record it, listen to it. If you have a hard time hearing it, listen to it again. And then if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But if you keep on using it, you'll definitely get stuff for sure.
Yeah. What we like to do sometimes is record it live, like on our tape recorders.
Sure.
And when we play it back, we have it slowed down. There's a Sony one that I use to slow it down.
We use the Sony ST25, and that one has
there's another one that I use for that. It's the black one, not the 25. And I slow it down. I forget what it's like
a Tascam. I forget.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that can help too. That can help too. That can definitely help.
You just on the spot, like you catch so much stuff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I don't know why that is. I just try to be like nice when I go out there, as nice as possible. and be kind and that sort of thing. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
It really does.
And I think another aspect I think a lot of people don't pick up on is not all the time, but a lot of the time I'm doing this stuff. I'm by myself. So I think that is another added thing that is like an advantage to me, because I think when you're by yourself, things are more willing to show themselves to someone who's by themselves than someone who's with a group of people. So I think that might be part of it too. You know, I mean, I don't know that 100%, but it seems that way. It seems like, you know, if you're by yourself, you're probably more like, you know, say if an entity is like more afraid to come out because there's more people there, they're like, oh, no, I'm not going out there. You know, but if it's just one person, you're like, oh, what's this guy doing? You know what I mean? Maybe you're more apt to go to one person. I don't know. That's, I think, something that could be part of it as well. Other than that, I have no idea. I don't know. I just go out there and I ask questions, and you know, they say things. I don't know why. I don't really have a good answer besides those two things.
I had a question. I know I asked you this before, but I don't know. Maybe you have more answers. So, like, say in that episode with Kevin, for example, you guys were talking about hearing a metal door. So
yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
To me, I didn't know that was a Dogman thing. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's a couple different theories on like what metal doors or sounds could be. That's one of them. So a lot of people theorize that like it's a lot of people that have Dogman encounters have heard metal noises while also seeing the Dogman, either I think shortly after or shortly before. I'm not exactly sure what the case. I think it's a little bit before than they have their encounter. So that's part of it. A lot of people theorize that could be some sort of portal or some sort of machine, something that's leading these things into our reality or something. Obviously, some sort of angle like that. As far as a Dogman angle, I think that's what kind of people theorize with that. Now, there's other possibilities as far as in my mind. Obviously, it could be Pukwudgie, just because Pukwudgies are known to lead people into danger, lead people to doom and stuff like that. The reason why I say that is because I've gotten one video in particular. I was hearing metal noises in the swamp, and you know, we're talking like what sounds like metal machines, a huge metal bang with two beeps, like a beep boop bang, like that kind of thing. And then what sounds like like car door shutting, or just like machinery, you know what I mean, like a machine, like a printing press moving. I don't know, like those kind of like metal noises, you know what I mean, very, very abnormal. And we're talking like swamp. We're not talking about like
middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. We're talking there's nothing but water in front of me. I'm hearing these noises and stuff like that. So like that's as far as like what that's right. Circle back to what these things could be. So like Pukwudgie is a possibility, and then another possibility. Obviously, you got the UFO angle, and to tie that all up with the story I was going to tell. One particular time, I'm hearing these metal noises. All of a sudden, on the word bank, it says "come," and then it says "entity," and then it says "come see." Right after that, and so it's like literally luring me, like, you know what I mean, which kind of sounds like a Pukwudgie luring me into the swamp, like, oh, why don't you come see what it is, come see what this is, you know what I mean, that kind of thing, you know, which is creepy.
Come around and find out.
Yeah, right. And then you couple that with what happened with me and Kevin. If you want, I can go right into that. Metal doors. So we're in the 𝗶𝗂𝗪𝗃, first power station where I've heard all these metal noises before many times throughout my entire time been investigating there. Not every single time I go out, but I had many occasions. So we're out there, we're setting up, not even all the way set up. So because of my wolf encounter I had, the koi wolf encounter, I always record everything now. Even when I'm setting up, I'll just have my phone on the ground recording. So that way, if anything happens while that's going, at least I have the audio of it. Or I've caught EVPs with my phone on the ground, like before I set up, after. So like I always have it on now for that reason. So we're setting up. All of a sudden, Kevin's like, "Did you hear?" He's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I heard that." And it was like what Kevin, because Kevin was closer, so he heard it better than me. He's like, it literally sounds like a car door shutting. That's what he described to me. And fast forward to like a month ago, I was out with two other a guy named Rich, banter with Richie B and Richie 𝗟𝗂𝗽𝗃𝗏𝗏. Shout out to you guys. Rich from 𝗟𝗂𝗽𝗃𝗏𝗏 standing right next to me. He's like, "Oh my God, did you just not hear that? It sounded like a car door shutting next to me." And so months apart, same noise. But back to Kevin's story.
Wow.
So we hear that noise. Kevin's like, "I heard that. I effing heard that." You know, so because he's getting all amped up, like, "Oh my God, like, what's that?" And so we open up the spirit box and we're like, we heard metal noises, and all of a sudden, I think I'm trying to get the timing right. So we get the spirit box open and we're like, hello, is anyone here? And then it says, get out of the way. Not once, but twice. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I was like, what? I was like, of course, when something says, what are you in the way? The next question is, what are we in the way of? So I asked that, what are we in the way of? Without skipping a beat. He's over here, demon. And so then I look over to Kevin, demon. And so I look over to Kevin and like, Kevin, did you hear that? He's like, no. I heard get out of the way again though. And I was like, okay, good. Because I don't want to scare Kevin. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, like I've heard demon before in the thing, so I'm not like too scared. But I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna like mention this Kevin. I don't want to get him scared. So then a little bit further questions, and then all of a sudden we get like, and it's a knock on a door through the spirit box. You know, so it sounds like a knock on the door, a literal knock on the door. That's what it sounds like. Someone like at a door knocking on the door, and I'm like, did you just knock on the door, right, into the spirit box? And then it says, mystical, your prayer really changed. And then it kind of cuts off, and then all of a sudden it says the door opened up, and then behind me, it sounds like, to me, it sounds like a person walking a dog on a leash, like coming, like walking up behind me or coming to walk up behind me. And so I whip around, I turn around, there's no one there. And Kevin's like, I heard that. It sounded like movement or shuffling or something. And I'm like, dude, that sounded like a dog on a leash. That's what it sounded like. So that was that encounter with the metal noises, and then the spirit box, and then the movement behind me as if there was someone there. There's no one there. Chilling, dude. Crazy night.
Whole scenario was wild. Yeah, I remember that now. Oh, like knocking. No. And the change. That's crazy.
Yeah, and he had the frame of mind to grab a rock, bang it, and then throw it like down a tree line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. We did that. That's also the same night we got the SLS hits of like the little entities and the Pukwudgie things.
Yes. I wanted to ask you what happened. Like what happened with the? At some point, it looked like it froze, right?
Yes.
Like it went black and white, but like kind of like static TV.
Yes,
what happened there?
So that like, I have no idea. That's not supposed to do that. It just like froze, and then it was just like stuck that way. And so then I ended up like turning it off, turning it back on, and then
you did the IT special.
Yeah. That's exactly it. But yeah, so that's not supposed to happen. I don't know why that happened. I didn't press anything. I didn't push any buttons or anything. That just happened. Very, very strange. That whole thing was wild. And what's really weird, it hasn't come out yet because I'm kind of like on a break, taking a few weeks break, just kind of like after, because I just, with the presentation I did, it was like a lot of work, so I'm like a little bit behind and stuff. So, but for that video, because like, you got haters and stuff and people that are like, oh, there's not anything there, blah blah blah. So I went back out there during the day with the SLS. The leaves are kind of like the same because it's almost the same kind of year, same size. No hits, not one single hit out there. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I want to go back at night. I want to do it again. And if I'm not getting any activity, I want to do it and then see what happens. And then if I do get activity, then turn it on again. And if there's entities there and then they weren't there before, I think that's pretty much we're done deal here. So so it's very interesting. The SLS has been very interesting as far as that goes, especially with the Pukwudgie stuff, kind of like correlating with that. And that's kind of how I figured out the 𝗚𝗂𝗲𝗃 thing too. Because I was getting all these like little entities on the SLS that were like 10, 11, 12 inches tall. And I'm like, what is that? I was like, this isn't a Pukwudgie. Pukwudgie's a 2 to 3 foot tall. What are these other things? And then
all over the place. You were completely surrounded is what it looked like.
Yeah. And actually,
definitely.
It's funny because you mentioned that it said something about REM pod, right? But in that same video, it actually looked like there was one like
messing with the REM pod.
Touching the REM pod. Actually.
Yes, and I've had that before in Tennessee as well, where the REM pod, like we've had little entities on the REM pod, and I've filmed the REM pod many times, and there's nothing there. So I know it's not the lights, I know it's not that's catching. So I've had that before. So yes, yep. And they're like trying to mess with it, trying to turn it on, stuff like that. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they aren't. But yeah, it's interesting.
Oh wow.
I'm glad though that you did get to take Kevin out there, because he had mentioned to us that you were going to take him out. Actually, he came to Miami and we investigated with him. That was his first time ever investigating. He loved it. And then he was telling us, "Oh, I'm gonna be going. I think it was like in a week or two. I'm gonna be going out with Phill to 𝗚𝗂𝗧𝘂𝗧𝘂𝗯𲲶. So I was like, oh man. And then finally seeing the the video of you guys' investigation, it was awesome. He can't complain. He had 2 great experiences.
Right. And such quick back to back. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, hell yeah. It was so great investigating it. And that's funny you mentioned that because I remember that because he had mentioned to me. He's like, hey, yeah, that's what he said to me. He's like, yeah, that he just got back from Miami with his family, went on investigation with you guys, and was like, oh yeah. So I remember that very vividly. So yeah. Funny, almost a little like I guess 6-8 months later. Now we're here.
Yeah,
like that.
We're here.
Yeah. Too funny.
Do you have a lot of UFO things in Massachusetts? Is that normal? Is that like?
Yeah, especially in the Bridgewater Triangle. There's many reports over the years, mostly in the 70s and 80s, but there are still reports even now. I could tell you my UFO encounter if you want, because I had a UFO encounter in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah, very, very weird. So early morning, for those people from Massachusetts, you'll know, driving down 495 South, just about to leave the Triangle, or just left the Triangle, 4:45 in the morning. It's winter time, February, March, maybe. Dark out, early morning, dark. It's still night out. You know what I mean? It's that time of year. And so driving down the highway on the right-hand side of the road. I'm sorry, no, left-hand side of the road. Left-hand side of the road. All of a sudden, above the tree line, it looks like an almond-shaped object that is completely lit up, like self-illuminated, very, very bright, but not like blinding light. Like when I'm looking at it, I'm not like, oh my God, that's like really bright. But when I'm looking at it, I'm like, it looks like really white, bright light. And so it goes from the right-hand side of the road above the tree line in front of me, like keeping the same speed with me. So 65, 70 miles an hour, moves from the right-hand side to the left-hand side of the road above that tree line in the middle, in the medium kind of area of the highway. And then turns from that almond-shaped into a skinny piece of white light, and then just disappeared completely. No noise, no nothing. It was just like a ball of energy light kind of thing, and then transformed into a skinny piece of light. Yeah, so that's what I saw.
Do you think it was Do you think it was now being like stealth like that? Do you think it was a government thing, or do you think it was?
Good question. I have no idea. What's really weird, I think it's interesting, is there is like a pond next to the road where this thing was kind of near. So it was near like a body of water. So I think that's interesting because a lot of people think that UFOs possibly come from water. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that was interesting. As far as like what I think it was, the best way I can describe it, it seemed like energy was the best way I can describe it, like energy based. Because it didn't seem like I said, no noise, no nothing. It didn't seem like a craft necessarily. It was more like, the best way to describe it, looked like energy. But yeah, very, very, and then it turning into a skinny piece of light. I was like, what the hell? I was like, did this thing just go into like another dimension? Did it like go into hyperspace? Like I don't know. It's very, very weird. It was like an instant though. It was quick. It changed from that almond shape to like a skinny piece of like white light, and then just kind of like fizzled off, and it was gone. Yeah, and then I think all of 7 seconds, 8 seconds, maybe altogether, the whole experience.
No,
very, very weird. I don't know what to make of it. It could be governmental, though. To answer your question, definitely could be. It is in an area.
With it doing that, like that light, the white,
the light thing.
I mean, the skinny thing, like at the end. I mean, no, I don't think that could be. I think that's more alienist, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be government. No.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't. It's very, very, very weird though. So, yeah, there's been quite a bit of UFO claims in the Bridgewater Triangle specifically, though.
Well, I mean, they do say that Bigfoot and or Dogman is
associated with that. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, they say that stuff could be connected, so that's definitely a possibility.
I think so. I highly think so.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
What other questions?
Well, I was gonna ask you. Oh no, I didn't ask you that. Hold on.
Yeah, because what I'm gonna talk about next is we're gonna drive off of the highway here. If I,
Oh God, he's gonna go.
yeah.
You know what? So two things. So when you do the spirit box sessions and you do them at like say like the early settlers locations and stuff, and then I think you're asking about maybe like if they still feel like hate towards like vice versa, like the natives towards like the pilgrims or like crossover. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think? I mean, it's just so crazy how it holds that energy for so long because you've got answers like, yeah, like they don't dislike them or they don't even like answer that question at all.
Yeah, they just like totally avoid it. So I think it's interesting. I think it depends on your intent or what they think your intent is sometimes. For example, when I went to 𝗟𝗏𝗀𝗃 Rock for the first time, 𝗟𝗏𝗃 Rock is one of these sites that's a Wampanoag site. It was a place that they camped out. Could be a revered site. I'm not 100% sure as far as the history. It's just a spot. The reason why it's called 𝗟𝗏𝗃 Rock is because 𝗟𝗏𝗃 was the guy that was captured there, a part of King Philip's war, kind of like a figurehead of King Philip, kind of like taught the soldiers how to fight and stuff like that as far as the Wampanoags go. He was captured there. And so like that's kind of why this place is famous. So when I first went there, I got go home, go away, go home, leave like 50 times repeatedly over and over, like go away, we don't want you here, go away. I went back over a year later on the anniversary of 𝗟𝗏𝗃's capture and kind of went through and retold the story and was like, this is probably where Benjamin Church, which is the guy that captured him, this is probably where he might have made his ascent, kind of retold the whole story. And you know, I was like last time, and so I was asking the spirit box, I retold the whole story and stuff like that. And so in the spirit box I asked, I was like, hey, like the last time I was here, you guys seemed like you didn't really like me, you told me to leave, go away, go home. Do you guys want me to stay? Do you want me to leave? Do you guys like me? And it said, it was like the complete opposite. It was like, Philip, stay. We love you, Philip. Philip, stay. You know what I mean? Philip, be here. So like, I think it's the intent or like what they think your intent is, or if they don't know you, I think they'd probably be more likely not to like you at first. And then maybe if you're kind and stuff like that, or know that you're not there to damage the land or hurt the land or cause offense or something. I generally found that they're generally nice for the most part. Now, there's been some occasions where I've been to like an old Native American village and I've gotten a couple grunts and a couple of like, and like, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like it's kind of a mixed bag, but for the most part, mostly positive. I haven't really, that was the one time I only got really told to leave somewhere. And I'm usually really nice and like kind of kind and stuff like that. So that usually helps. So to answer your question, it's very hard. I feel like it depends on the entity, and as far as like spirit, like person, it probably varies place to place, and it depends on the person asking the question, for the most part. Like, you know, if I ask that question, they'll probably like more likely to nowadays probably be more likely to be nicer to me, you know. But if someone went in there, doesn't know the history, kind of you know, acting a certain way, maybe not respectful or something, they're probably not going to they're probably going to get that negative kind of reaction. Because I've asked many times before about curses, about did you guys curse this land? Never really get an answer to that. Never really get anything that's like, yeah, or we don't like this thing, or don't like these people, or don't like this person, or don't really get a lot of that. I mean, it's even weird because I've asked the Wampanoags, one of their enemies, allegedly, according to history, was the Mohawks. And so at their village, I'm like, do you guys like the Mohawks? Do you dislike the Mohawks? And then they said they like the Mohawks. And I'm like, that's what? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's not what history says. You know what I mean? It's like, why? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. These guys were your enemies. So it's like, who knows? Maybe they weren't. I don't know. You know what I mean? So like, it's very weird. So it depends on the area, I think, and depends on who's asking the question.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, sometimes I kind of think about like, say like that with the history, like if they're supposed to hate each other, you know, they say that after we all pass, everything is just, you know, they see like the bigger scheme. You see the bigger scheme of things. Everybody, it's more a love, you know, vibration, and not really supposed to keep that hate or whatever. So maybe it could be some of that. So
it could be that. Yeah.
Thought about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, the past is alive. Anytime you talk about the past in these places, it talks back, or it'll say things about the past, or mention things about the story, or you know what I mean. Usually, there's correlating things with the story, which I think is the most fascinating part of it all.
Yeah, especially so old, the history over there. Like,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
especially I go to some places where there's not even a YouTube video about the story. So like I love that the most is like retelling the story and then getting like evidence in a place that no one's even investigated before because no one really cares enough about the story to go there and to find out where this was and go to this walk behind the school down the river to find out where this place might have been. You know what I mean? So like I think that's part of it too. Which is like one of my favorite parts is retelling the history and kind of keeping the stories alive and the legends alive for like another generation, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it also depends on who's answering as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're only taking to the whoever's talking to you, and you don't really know.
You don't know, yeah,
who they are.
Who's asking and who's answering? I think it all, those both kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel you've gotten any anything come back with you, like to your house in any of these locations? Especially since you've been so familiar with them now,
Yeah. There's been a couple of occasions where like you just like you like feel like not like something on you, but you know what I mean? Like that kind of like residual effects from like being somewhere like that for sure. So usually for me, what I'll do is I usually pray before I go somewhere or before I go on the way out. And then if I still have those feelings, I'll pray again. And then I won't even go in my house until those feelings are like gone. And usually that's worked out for me. For the most part. I mean, like I said, anyone that's been investigating for any amount of time knows what I'm talking about when I'm talking about those kind of feelings. You just know, that kind of heaviness or whatever that you're like, you're like, nope. So, so you're like, yeah. So you have to, that's one thing you really gotta, because your home is your sanctuary. That's why I tell people, like, I don't recommend people investigating their home. I think your home is your home and it's your safe place and it should stay that way. And when you start doing that stuff, it's just like, it no longer becomes your safe spot because you've opened a door to, whatever wants to come in.
Pukwudgies.
Yeah, exactly. And and then they'll like mess around your house.
Exactly.
Well, I'm guilty because I investigate my dolls in my house.
Oh yeah, your haunted dolls. Yeah.
Some people. I mean, I think it's all mental too. If you can't turn it off and you feed into it, you. And thankfully, everybody that lives here, the kids and I and my husband, we don't really talk about it. We just kind of.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
As long as it stays your sanctuary, Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, but we're one of the crazy ones.
We're all a little crazy.
We're the bold ones. Bold or stupid, I don't know. But thankfully, we haven't had anything that happened.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we see stuff and we'll say like, "Oh shit," that my son will hear things and then he'll tell me, and then that's the end of it. That's it. We just let it go.
Yeah. That's
or
good.
we'll laugh about it. We'll make fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be done. But yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Hi. Yep. We're the crazy.
Oh, cool.
My son, if it was his choice, we wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
So everybody, again, you can catch Phill at Exploring with Phill across all the social media.
I'm excited.
So obviously, he's an amazing paranormal investigator. But another thing that you can do, and like I was telling you backstage, I tend to gravitate towards people that make me laugh. So like my Black Smoke Paranormal, 𝗍𝗶𝗪, we always laugh with each other. Kevin, the list goes on and on. Jenny, obviously, but you, my friend, you're super hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just one line that I gotta say that cracked me up was the nectar of the gods. I just lost it laughing. That line was hysterical. So how, man, like for those of you that haven't seen it yet, please check it out. It's the disappearance of Tammy, right?
Disappearance of Tammy Dale. Yep.
Yeah. Check it out. And not only are you're a phenomenal writer, but you're also into wrestling as well.
Yes. Yep. We do a wrestling show every year. This is going to be the last one. This coming up this year, WrestleFest 10. So yeah, can't believe we've been doing it for 10 years, but 10 years. Yeah. WrestleFest 10. So yeah, we've done 10 of them. So you can check those out as well. If you're into wrestling, it's more so comedy wrestling that I would say serious wrestling. You know, it's more about the stories and having fun with it rather than like serious wrestling. And that's like my movie as well. My movie is very outrageous, rated R, so don't watch it with children. But it's very funny if you like outrageous things. So
yeah.
You know, when I was sitting there watching it Friday night, just kind of like the time I have to kind of catch up with stuff. And what were you watching? I don't know what you were watching. He was watching something on TV or whatever, and I was watching that on my phone, and I'm here like in the corner of the couch, like freaking laughing. I was like, "You have to watch this. This is so funny." And I was like hounding him for like 2 days. I'm like, "Watch this. This is so funny." And I'm like, dude, because sometimes you don't see the person's like sense of humor until you see something like that's totally like out there, like different. And I was like, "Oh yeah, this guy's just like me."
Yeah. I'm not just into the paranormal. I like to laugh too.
Yeah. Like, but you're fun in your investigations, but like it was like an added, you know, like plus. Like,
it's entirely
cool to see that side of you.
Yeah,
it's a different side. Yeah, because you don't really see that side on Exploring with Phill. Otherwise, you know, it's more of like a serious, for the most part. I mean, I do make jokes and stuff, but like it's more of a serious type thing. But yeah, so it is. Yeah, it is fun to kind of like do like the fun things. I love comedy. Always have. That's kind of like how I got my start in like content. Anyway, was like comedy podcasts, and then like those characters, Janitor John Janitor, and all those all came from my comedy podcast. So yeah, Janitor John Janitor is probably my favorite, best character ever for sure. Bobby's great too, but like Janitor John Janitor is up, like he's on another level for sure.
Do you know who this person is? Tommaso
Ciampa.
Oh my
Tommaso Ciampa,
totally.
great. Yes,
Great
I kind of do look like him. Yeah, absolutely. I actually met him in Providence. God, like 2015, right when he was about to like
a wrestling con?
Yeah. Him and Cody. I met him and Cody Rhodes after Cody Rhodes left WWE, and he went like on the road, kind of doing indie stuff. I saw him there with Ciampa, and it was right after the Gargano match that Ciampa and him had.
Johnny Gargano, man, those guys are awesome too. Those
very good, very good wrestlers. Yeah.
And we have mentioned CM Punk, those type of guys, awesome.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is the best.
Shawn Michaels. Yeah, that's my guy. That's
Wait, nobody likes The Rock? I haven't heard about him. Nobody's talked about him yet.
Well, no, I love The Rock because that's my Miami guy. So I had to
hometown guy. Yeah, of course.
But it was hard not to like everybody from the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the
Stone
golden
Cold,
age of wrestling. Yeah.
Triple H.
Stone Cold was another level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you guys have to check them out. Oh, you know what? Another thing that I love too, the now I'm driving back into the highway. I loved that kind of like the investigation that you did on you were driving, but it was on the highway. It was the one about the hitchhiker.
Red-headed hitchhiker. Yeah, the legend of the red-headed hitchhiker.
I thought it was so interesting, dude. I loved it.
Thank you. That's one of those ones where like you hear that legend and you're like, all right, well, I mean, it'd be cool to retell the story. We're probably not going to catch anything about this thing, but hey, we'll at least do it. And I was shocked. So for those who haven't checked it out, please check it out. But one of the parts of the legend of the red-headed hitchhiker, basically it's just a guy on the side of the highway looking for a ride, hitchhiking. He gets in your car. If you stop, you let him in your car. He doesn't say anything. You ask him where he's going, still doesn't say anything. He'll just like laugh at you and either disappear or laugh through you through the speaker of the car. And it's usually in this one particular spot between Rehoboth and the Seekonk line. Like right on that line is where you're supposed to hear this guy laugh. And there's many reports either, like I said, through the speaker of the car, in the car itself, in the woods around this area. So we're driving. Nice. So we're driving through.
And, Father's Day jokes, guys.
I love it. I love it.
To wrap up, start killing the dad jokes. I need.
Yeah, right. So good, so good. So we get to this one spot where we're allegedly supposed to hear this laugh, right? And so right as we're about to cross over, we on an EVP we catch the hitchhiker's laugh, which was so absolutely shocking. I couldn't believe that we caught his laugh. Shocking. Not only that, we caught the laugh, which is crazy. And then we caught like other EVPs as well, like a little bit down the street. We got another EVP in the car, which is a very, very strange. So it's like, are these entities in the car? Are they just around the car? Are they traveling with the car? You know, like there's so many questions there because you're like, very, very, very weird. And not only that,
that's
we
what
got
his
alleged name too. His alleged name was in that video.
That's what I was gonna say. I think remember there was one time where it said either Herbert Red or something else. I heard Herbert. I heard.
Yeah. So, and so did Nicole and Jessica at the time too. They're like, I thought I heard Herbert. I thought I heard Herbert. Yep. So that was a very strange aspect. My opinion on that entity is I don't think it's a person. I just think it's way too strong to be a person. I just think whatever this thing is definitely strong to be around that long, because the original reports of this is from the 60s or something. It's a long time ago is when the first sightings of this thing happened. And to still have the laugh all these years later and all this very stuff, it seems like an intelligent entity that knows when people are talking about it, which is kind of weird. Because you think about it, how many cars are driving down that road? Like, how would it know? How, you know what I mean? Very weird. It's when you start thinking too deep, you're like, all right, well, I don't want to think about that anymore. You're like, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, that's weird. That's weird, especially driving while getting EVPs and stuff like that. And that's kind of a whole other weird thing I never really thought about until that. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So you can catch EVPs when you're driving. That's interesting. Interesting thought. Cool. Yeah, definitely.
So cool. And you guys were using a ghost bell as well. We just had our first experience with it, and it was awesome.
I love the ghost bell. I love it a lot. It's one of my new favorite tools for sure. I'm so happy I bought it.
Yeah, I know. I really want one. I'm holding it.
Get one. You gotta get one.
Investigating with someone that had it. So we had kind of like how you have the laser grid, but then you had the device that reads into the laser.
Yeah, I have like it'll set off an alarm if something cuts off the laser.
The lasers.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
And then somebody put the ghost bell like right by it, so it would like trip. It's like a laser trip, basically, whatever, and it'll alarm, and then the thing was like bing.
Yeah, it would go in front of the laser grid, set off that device, the alarm, just to hit the ghost bell.
I don't know, just to hit it, but something's crossing it.
It's crossing
No, that's cool. That's a great catch. Awesome. No, that's awesome. No, I hope someday soon, we'll be able to investigate together. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna go up there or not, but we are going up in that
Kevin
area.
If he's interested.
Yeah, we're gonna go. We're gonna be at the gettysburg bash
at the end of July
next month. Yeah, so we'll be up that way, but I know that's very far.
Yeah, it's about like a 6-hour drive or so for me.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
I don't know if Kevin's gonna be able to go or not.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, send me the dates. I'll see if I can swing it. It is short notice, but I'll see what I can do. I don't know what I have what the dates or whatever. Yeah, just message me when we get off, and then I'll see if we can make it work. That'd be cool.
Oh, Kevin said he's going.
Kevin, he's going.
Oh, nice. Okay, because he wasn't sure before or not.
So it's the last weekend of July. So it's the July 25th through the 28th.
25th.
So yeah, we'll message you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna be.
I definitely would. Not just me. The two of us would definitely love to investigate with you. Just hang out and stuff.
Yeah, we want to meet as many people as we can up there. You know, that's in the Northeast.
Steven, if you can fit into our luggage, you're coming.
Southwest got an extra
check-in. This is my carry-on.
He's my safety. What are they called? Like you can bring a pet now. You know, like your comfort animal.
Oh my god!
It's just my comfort. This is my comfort right here.
This is fucking Steve. For real. I forget what they call it. I don't know. I forget. Whatever. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us. I know it's already. I don't know how long it is. It's been over an hour and a half. So. Yeah,
thank you, Phil, for your time. Man.
Oh, tell everybody also, because you co-host a podcast on Sunday nights also, right? So
yes, AFK discussions every single Sunday night. We go live with my co-host Jason. I've been on since the beginning of the year. So yeah, it's a paranormal podcast. We have people on like Jen. We're gonna have Jen on soon, and some other people. So sometimes we do interviews. Sometimes we just talk about a topic. sometimes we don't have a topic, and those are fun episodes too. So, you know, if you like my humor and stuff, I try to put more humor into the AFK show than we've had previously, kind of make it a little more fun and stuff like that than just kind of like straight paranormal talk, which kind of like everyone does. You know what I mean? Kind of like break it up a little. Absolutely. That's the way I look at it. You know?
If there's no humor, I can't.
Yep. Yeah. So, you know, we're a fun podcast. You know, obviously we do take something seriously, but we're a fun podcast. So yeah, come check us out over there. And then obviously you guys can find me at Exploring with Phill. That's Phill with 2 L's. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you guys are. That's where I am.
Yeah, and I wrote his link tree in the description box, so you guys can find all his stuff right there. Please check out his videos on YouTube. Very good. And the last one, oh my god, what is it called?
The disappearance of Tammy.
Disappearance of Tammy.
Disappearance of Tammy Dale. Yeah, if you like outrageous comedies, this is the comedy for you.
Yeah, that was totally right up my alley. Oh, you know what I was gonna say something funny about
that?
The
door has rust-oleum.
No. I was gonna talk about that point when he was like, "Can you explain what that is?" Bro, I was dying. I don't want to tell anybody.
I don't want to spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Let me tell you, I was on that couch like, what the fuck?
So he's gonna see a weapons dealer, and you have to pay close attention.
Yeah, so funny. It really is.
That scene was very difficult to film. Very difficult to film.
How did you guys keep it together?
How do you keep a straight face, dude?
I would have been laughing just writing that shit. Like, I can't.
Yeah. No, there was many. If you watch to the end, there are outtakes though. So there's many times, especially that scene in particular. We had to do that many times, and we didn't really quite nail it either because
so good.
There's like some laughing in there as well. So yeah, so that was very challenging. That whole basement scene was very challenging. Very challenging.
It's so good though. It's so funny.
Is this on the Exploring with Phill challenge?
Yeah, you know what? I just re-released it. Yeah, I just re-released it. So yeah, I just re-released it. So yeah, you can go check that out.
Everybody check it out. Check out his Instagram. He's always posting there daily. Yeah,
always trying to post something. Sometimes funny, sometimes paranormal stuff. A little bit of both.
Oh, and he does food. You try different foods.
Yeah, Phill tries things. That's one of my other things I've been doing lately too. Just trying different foods on lives and stuff like that. Just trying something different. You know what I mean? Actually, I got a little hot gummy bear here, the hottest gummy bear in the world. I'll be doing that soon enough.
Oh shit!
I want to see that. Yes.
Ron, I think sent me a video on that. Oh gosh!
Don't do the sour ball challenge with the blueberry balls. Don't do like 4 or 5 of them, like 4 idiots that are.
Oh, you guys did that?
We did. Damn, you ruined our
Jen told me she found the balls, and then my husband was like, "Oh,
I definitely will. I definitely will.
More in your mouth."
Yeah,
so
that's
peer pressure. We all
did it. Want to try that hot sauce too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, nothing.
Is it for sale yet?
Yeah, actually, I bought some when I saw Kevin last week or. God, I think it was last week. Yeah, last week.
We gotta buy some.
Yeah,
I
those are blueberry ones.
Highly recommend. Awesome hot sauce. Awesome hot sauce.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay, good. I can get it.
Father's Day joke for everybody. How do you make the number 7 into an even number?
I heard this joke earlier today, so I'm gonna tell you the answer.
Well, I give you guys a chance to ponder. Joy, where could the good folks find you?
So all my links are right here in the description. JJ.Paranormal, and then join Joey for the tube. And then right here on Sundays with these.
You stuck it out, girl.
I know.
She did a good job. She hung in there.
I like listening to the Pukwudgies.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you.
And you can find us at 305 Paranormal on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I'm mostly on Instagram and YouTube though. And thank you for being here, everybody. What's your answer? Nobody's guessing that damn.
You can find me at Mr. 305 Paranormal on IG. There I discuss a little bit more things besides paranormal stuff.
Phill, I will be checking out some of your videos.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see them.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Please check out our.
Yes, you guys just posted a video. I'm trying.
Please just check out our latest video at the Gold Coast.
Check out my video. I made it.
Railroad, starring the beautiful Jenny.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You can catch her at in the train model room at Gold Coast Railroad, one of our favorite local haunts here in Miami. That place is legit. We love it. And the answer to the Father's Day question is you take off the S.
It's even now.
Wait, what?
You take the S off a 7 and it's an even number.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh.
Nice.
You see? You see what I gotta do?
And with that,
Look, we just saw somebody.
next week we have the honor of having another one of our great friends from the north,
Kevin, who said, "Jeez, I know. Tell me about it."
Kevin. So all the weirdos out there, please join us. We're gonna have your ringleader here next Saturday, and like and subscribe to us, and subscribe to Joy and Phil as well. Like he says, he's seen statistics where it says only 45%. Well, 45% of the people that watch his videos are unsubscribed. So you guys better subscribe, or you're gonna have to deal with me too.
And his bad jokes.
Same, I see that too.
I'm gonna torture you with bad Father's Day jokes.
All right, Phil, I'm gonna end the live. Don't leave just yet. I'm gonna take a picture. But
of course.
Say good night to everybody.
Good night, everybody. Happy Father's Day.
Good night.
Peace.
Bye. If I can end.